Hi, this is Karen with Karen's Cards and More, and today I want to I have a beautiful card to share with you today. I really like the design of this card, and I hope you'll enjoy learning how to make it. But I wanted to feature the Timeless Tulip set. This has been one of my all-time favorite sets that's going to be retiring, and I'm a little heartbroken to be real honest that on May 2nd this is retiring. Now there's a coordinating punch. And the punch is in the new catalog, but the Timeless Tulips is not. You can build, I don't know whether I'd call it a 3D tulip, but you can build a tulip with this, and maybe I'll do a video with a card just using the punch to build the tulips. But I love this set. I love that it has the Happy Birthday, the Get Well, the Happy Mother's Day, just a wide variety, Happy Easter, Hello, which you could adapt to Thinking of You. Just a lot that you can use this for, and I just love this set. I love the tulips. It's a distinctive stamp. Just a really cool set. So if you don't have the Timeless Tulip set, you might want to put in an order for that before May 2nd. If you, especially after seeing the card we're going to make today, if you want this set, hop on over to my blog, karenscardsandmore.com, and hit the shop link, and you'll be able to order any of the things you're seeing me use today. So let me show you the card that we're going to use. We're going to use several of these tulip stamps today, but let me show you. And I did the Mother's Day sentiment, but you could use any of that. You could use the Happy Birthday, you could use the Get Well Soon, and it would still look just as beautiful. So here's the card, a bouquet of timeless tulips. And I just love this. I love everything about this card. So let's talk about how to make it. So I started with a piece of basic white that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 on the long side. Then I have a piece of designer series paper, and this is from the Flowering Fields, which is also retiring on May 2nd. This designer series paper is. So if you like it, you'd probably want to get a couple packs of it because it's going to be not in the new catalog. So 5 1/4 by 4. And then we need another piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And this is going to be the layer that we build our bouquet on. And then you're going to need some scraps of basic white. The die that we're using, let me show you this. We have a newer set that came out, and this is available now, but it will also be in the new catalog, so this is not retiring. The stamp set is called Waves of Inspiration, and there's a coordinating die set, the Waves dies. And in this set, there are 2 of these to match the sentiments in the stamp set. One is a thinner and one is a thicker die. And so you'll need a scrap of basic white to die cut this, and that's what we're going to use to stamp our Happy Mother's Day. And then you'll need a scrap of Blushing Bride. And then let me show you the various inks. We're using several inks today. So for our tulips, we're going to use Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. And we're going to use Blushing Bride and Polished Pink. And then our leaves are going to be Granny Apple Green. And then we're going to need the black memento for the Happy Mother's Day. We're going to also be using, I'm going to show you how to use the Stamparatus to make this process so much easier. When you're stamping a lot of something like this, the Stamparatus is great, but I'm going to show you a trick using the punch and the Stamparatus to make this really go quick. Okay, so let's get started on our stamping. So the first thing I'm going to get out of the way is I'm going to bring in this is my die cut piece from that Waves die set. And I have my Happy Mother's Day. And I'm going to bring in my black memento. And I'm just going to ink this up. And I want to bring in my foam mat because this is a polymer stamp set and it's good to have your foam underneath there. So I'm just going to ink this up and try to center this. It's always hard when you're on camera to line this up because you don't have your head right over it like you might normally would. So I'm going to just set that down. Hold that for just a second to give it a, let the ink transfer in there. We have our sentiment ready. We're gonna do a little more with that. We're gonna use some scraps of Blushing Bride to finish that off, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So then you wanna take this punch, and I have, let me show you this. I have a whole bag of scraps of my basic white. So whenever I have anything left over, I throw it in the bag, and then if I can use out of here, I use out of here. So I just pulled a bunch of scraps out of here, and I'm gonna show you one here. And I just punched a bunch of the tulips and the leaves. And sometimes I couldn't get the tulip and the leaf out of the same piece. I would just turn it and get leaves, whatever I could do. Now on this one, I can get them both. And you're just gonna punch like that. And that gave me a tulip and a leaf. And I just went through till I had 6 of each. But I also gave myself a piece. I did a piece where I could just have, and let me show you this. On my Stamparatus, I made a template. I just took a piece of basic white and I punched that out. So what I had left was a template. And the Stamparatus comes with 2 panels. You can put, there's 2 sides that you can attach these panels in that hold your stamps. And so I have one on each way, because here's the thing, if I put them both on the same one, trying to ink them up, they'd be too close together and it'd be difficult. So I used both panels to do my stamps. And I just layered my stamp in the template, closed the lid to pick up the stamp, and now it's perfectly lined up with my template. And I did the same thing with the leaf. Now I have all these die cuts that I cut out the basic white, and I can just pop these in here, and this is what we're gonna do. And I can just pop that in there, stamp it, go the next one, and keep going till I get them all. And it makes it go really quickly to stamp all your tulips. So let me show you how. And the tulip fits really well. If it's not fitting good, flip it over, because sometimes if you have them backwards, it won't fit quite right. So let's do our pink tulips first. And I'm just gonna put a stamp pad underneath there to keep it from flopping. Hopefully you'll still be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna bring in my Blushing Bride and my polished pink. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Blushing Bride and I'm just gonna ink up my tulip. Just ink that up real well. Okay, I'm gonna make sure my tulip is in, and I want 3 pink and 3 purple. So then I'm just using a sponge dauber, and I'm gonna come in with the polished pink, and I'm just gonna get some ink on my dauber, and then I'm just dabbing some of the polished pink down around the bottom of the tulip, just like that. And then I'm going to close, and every tulip is gonna look a little different, which if you look at tulips growing naturally, I doubt you'd find 2 that are exactly the same. Okay, so there's my tulip. And depending on how much ink you put on them, they're all going to have a little bit of different coloration to them. So we're just gonna repeat the process. I get 3 of the pink done. So I'm just going to clean my stamp so that we can switch to the purple hues. Make sure I get the ink off my plate there. We're done with these. So now I'm going to come in with my Highland Heather and my Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to, again, be using a dauber. So I'm going to ink this up. Let me put a tulip in here. That one doesn't seem to be sitting right, so I'm just going to flip it over. And it's amazing how quickly you can stamp out 6 of these. So I'm going to ink this up. And then I'm going to get some of the Gorgeous Grape on my dauber. And I'm just going to come in and add some of that. And stamp that down. And I'm just going to repeat for 2 more of those. We have 6 of the tulips ready to go. So we're done with our purple hues. And then we're ready to switch to do our leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. And we're going to need our Granny Apple Green. Move this up so you can see. And it's really the same process that we did with the tulips. And this is just how quickly you can pop out 6 of these leaves. So I'm just going to pop a leaf in my template. And I'm going to come in with my Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to ink the leaf up and put that down. And just like that, we have a leaf. And so I'm just going to repeat this till I get my 6 leaves. And we're done with 6 leaves that quickly. Set this out of the way. We're done with our ink pads, so we can put those out of the way. And we're ready to start building. So I'm going to bring in my tulips and my leaves so we can be ready to create our bouquet. Now, I started by just kind of playing with placement. So I just kind of put these on here, just kind of looking at them, trying to decide, you know, how I wanted to organize them, just getting an idea of the look I wanted. So I just played around with my bouquet. And I got to something like that, and I decided, you know, it needs more. It needs more. And in the set, there's this little bud, and then there's a smaller tulip. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to just use the Highland Heather and the Blushing Bride for this. These are going to be single tone. Open these up. And I just wanted to add some of these to the top and then build around them. So I want to start in towards the center top, and I'm just going to slide those over. And I want one of each. I want one of the little buds with the Blushing Bride and one with the Highland Heather. So, and I'm going to need to bring in my foam mat again. And I'm just going to stamp one of each. And I'm just going to kind of turn it a little bit just to give it a little angle. And I want to keep it towards the top. Just like that. And then I want to do one of the Highland Heather. Just like that. And then I wanted to use these smaller tulips, and I just wanted to put one to the side. So I'm just going to do the same process. I'm just going to do one of the Blushing Bride, and I just want to get it to the side here. Just like that. Okay, and while we have these out, I want to bring in my card base, because on the inside, let me show you the finished card. On the inside, I did one of the little buds and one of the small tulips on the inside panel. So while we've got these two colors out, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start with my little bud and my Blushing Bride. And I'm just going to, actually, I think I want to put the Highland Heather one on first so I know the placement for my small one. So I'm just tilting it a little. And I'm going to stamp that down. And then I'm going to come in with my Blushing Bride. And I'm just going to set one right beside it. Just like that. And that's all I did for the inside of the card. Okay, so let's build our bouquet. There's one more piece of stamping that we'll need to do before we can actually start putting our bouquet together. And I'm using this stem. And we're going to use the Granny Apple Green. And because of the way we're going to build this, you can put these on here. What I did is I put my stems just from these, let them come down to make my bouquet. And when I built my bouquet, it didn't matter that they were coming from these and not the tulips I'm adding, because you really couldn't tell. And I'm just bringing in a scrap. I have a well-used scrap of paper that I've been using. And I'm just going to ink this up. And I'm just going to kind of bring this. And it doesn't have to be perfect from your tulips that are on there. Because like I said, when we put the other ones on top of it, you're just not going to be able to tell if they're attached, because this is all going to be covered up. So I'm just building some stems. And I just did 4. You could do as many as you wanted. And I'm just getting those on there. So I just have the 4 stems. And that's going to be, you're not going to see that they're not connected. Trust me, this is going to be okay. So now we are definitely done with all of our stamping and we're ready to build. Now the first layer of the tulips, I glued down. The second layer, I'm going to use dimensionals to pop them up. So the first layer that we're going to glue down, I want to set these on here to see where I want them before I glue. And I think something maybe like this. And I just want to play for a minute of how high I want these to be able to get my second row of tulips in. Yeah, see, just like that. So I like that. So I'm going to move the top 3 and we're going to work on gluing these down. Now, I can always go more back and add more glue. So I want to just kind of glue in the middle so that I can still tuck my leaves in. I don't want to get glue all the way out to the edges because then I have nowhere to tuck my leaves. Okay. So I'm just going to glue these first 3 pieces down. Like that. And I wanted to build this before I attached this to my card because if I didn't like it and needed to start over, I didn't want to ruin my whole card base. So that's why I'm building this independent of the actual card. Okay. Now the next 3 I want to build up with dimensionals. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my first tulip. And again, I'm just putting these in the middle so that I have room to glue my leaves in. And I'm just going to, and I did kind of look at the stems a little bit on this. To see what made sense. And I'm going to put the other purple one in and then I'll bring in the pink one. I can move our scrap piece of paper. Let me get that out of the way so you can see better what I'm doing. What's funny is if you gave me the real flowers and wanted me to build a bouquet, I would struggle and I would have a mess. But with this, it was pretty easy to build a beautiful bouquet. The hardest part for me was the next part, trying to figure out where I wanted to put my leaves. That was definitely the hardest part for me. There. Our basic bouquet is built. Isn't that beautiful? I just love this. I love these tulips. Okay, now we're ready to glue in some leaves. I knew that I wanted a few down around the bottom. So I'm going to start with those. And you can look at the leaves that you have stamped and see if you want one in a particular area based on how they're stamped. I think I like this one. Maybe, how about this one? This one looks good. Yeah, I want that one right in there at the base. I'm just going to slide this in here, just like that. And I know that I want to put another one on the other side, because I'm going to be tucking this under here. So I'm just going to trim off some of this bottom so that I can tuck this under there like that. The first two leaves for me were easy because I knew I wanted something along the bottom of my bouquet. From there, I wasn't sure what to do with my leaves. Okay, so now I know that I just want to put some greenery in through here at different points. And, you know, because of all the leaves looking different, I just played around till I found where I wanted the different leaves. I think I like this one. I don't want to cover up too much of my flowers. So I'm just playing to see where I want to tuck these. I don't like them straight up and down. Oh, I think I definitely like that there. And you can trim more off of this if you need to. And you can even lift these up a little bit if that helps you get them in there where you want them. And I think I am going to trim, I think I'm going to trim this one. I'm just cutting the bottom of it off so I can tuck it in here where I want it. Let me see. I think I like that. And there's definitely no right and no wrong to this. It's just whatever you like. I'm just going to lift this up and try to get that leaf tucked back in there. Just like that. And I don't mind that this is sticking over a little bit because this is going to be matted and then it's going to be on the card base. So I'm fine with that. And then I know I want some kind of greenery over in here. I think I'm just going to cut this off. And see how I like this. Just a tip of the leaf. Because I don't want to cover up my beautiful tulips. And I think I like it like that, actually. So I'm just going to glue this in. Just like that. Okay, we're ready to put it all together now. So I'm going to bring in my card base. I'm just going to fold this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my mat piece on here. And this is just going to be centered there on the front of our card. So I'm just going to put some glue. Just like that. And then we're ready to center this on that layer. So again, I'm just going to come in with my liquid glue. And I'm just going to glue this down, centering this on my mat piece. And then the only thing left we have to do is to add our greeting. And what I want to do to this before I attach it, I want to use my Blushing Bride to put behind. It cuts out these little holes in the die cut, and I want to layer the Blushing Bride behind that. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and I just randomly cut it. I mean, there's no real science to the piece. I just cut me a little piece, and then I tried it, and see, like that one's cut short, so I just cut it again until I got a piece that would fit behind there. And then, so this one fits, but there's some extra, so I just cut the extra off, and I just keep working at it and trimming it till I get something that will fit behind there, but yet not stick out of the edges. So that works. So I'm just going to put a little glue around the hole there. Just like that. And then I'm just going to press this down over the piece that I cut. And then I just flip it over and press it. Just like that. So we've got our first one done. Now I'm just going to trim a piece up for the other side. I like to cut those sharp edges off because I know that I don't want a sharp edge. Just like that. So I'm just seeing what I need to trim. So I just need to trim a little off. Maybe not. No, I don't need to trim any. I can make it fit just like that. Okay. So I'm just going to, again, put a little bit of glue on the back side. And put this down on the piece that I cut. And I'm just going to flip it over and press that down. And there we have our greeting ready to go on our card. And so I'm just going to come in with some dimensionals. And put these on the back of the card. And I can tell you, I can't imagine a mom not loving this card. I saw a thing on social media discussing the value of a handmade card versus going and paying. Somebody said that they didn't want to pay, you know, $3 or $4 for a handmade card, but they would rather go and pay $7 or $8 for a store card. And I don't know. I don't think anything can communicate love more than the fact that you took time to hand make a card for someone. So I'm just going to center this here at the bottom across my stems and push that down. And the only thing left to do is I'm going to add some of these, there's these gems that are the varying hues of purple. And I'm just going to add 3 of these around on the card, just for a little extra pizzazz. Trying to think of where I want it. I think I want to move this one just a little. Like that. And there we have it. We're done with this beautiful Mother's Day card that really didn't take that much time, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with this. Beautiful idea of what you can do with the Timeless Tulip stamp set. Here's the one that I had before we started. Here's the one that we created today. I hope you like this card as much as I do. I hope you'll give it a try. This is definitely one of those sets that you don't want to let retire and be gone and not be able to get your hands on. So if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Be sure to check out my blog. The card recipe will be on my blog. I have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, and I would love to be your demonstrator. If you don't have one and would like Stampin' Up! Products, you could go to my blog to order the products. And I will be back with you to craft soon.